What is your full name?
My full name is Suhaila and Salimpour.
My full name is Isabella Antoinette Salimpour Corey.
Today is December 20th, 2023.
It is December 20th, 2023. Is my makeup good, everyone? Is my hair good? I don't feel like I'm the same person. I feel like I've kept my core values and my core self, but I feel like this year has been huge, personally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, like in every way in terms of change. I feel like I've really matured and come into myself through a lot of different lessons that I had to learn.
I feel like fundamentally I'm the same person I was a year ago, but I can say that this last year has been such huge changes and growth and such an evolution in my life. Like one of the big major years, I'd be like, oh my God, 2023 was huge. So yeah, big changes.
At the beginning of the year, I set a lot of goals for myself. I really wanted to try comedy. I had never done it, and I was really, really scared to do it for many different reasons. And I set goals for myself every month that kind of put me in those situations and put me in those scenarios to see if I really liked it and to just face my fears. And I feel like I completed them, like doing mics, doing shows. Now I produce my own show with a good friend of mine. Like, it's been really interesting to watch and to feel.
The goals that I set for myself for 2023 were kind of set for me in a way because I have been in a huge work shift and creative shift and personal shift. And so being on that trajectory, I think that the goals were just clear, and I wanted to really come into full light business-wise in terms of what I needed to do for the Salimpour school. And so I needed like all new websites. I needed them to be completely supportive for the student body that was now really globally, globally enhanced. So it almost felt like these not endings, but these closures to be able to rebirth. So that this year was all about these closures to be able to expand. Yeah, it's been huge on every level. Every level.
I learned a lot of lessons this year. This year was probably the year of lessons. One of them was about just self-respect and learning how to respect yourself in every way. Like if you want to do something, how you respect yourself is by doing it. And if you ever want anything, even if you're scared of it, the way that you can respect yourself is by going for it. Also, always fighting for yourself. I think it's really easy to lose yourself, even if it's something as simple as having a morning routine. Like constantly fighting for the goodness in your life and the things that you want, and really releasing what other people say.
You can never give up. And not that I had given up. It wasn't that. But what I felt was that there are moments in one's life where you have to really reevaluate the way you've been doing something. And then you need to think, is that effective anymore? Is that working anymore? Do you need to shift? And when I look at my artistic environment, and when I look at my students, and when I look at the Salimpour school, I am constantly reevaluating what the students need and what the legacy needs to grow and continue. The most significant lesson I learned this year personally was to allow myself to be vulnerable. I never thought I would remarry, and I was able to trust and find love and remarry, and I just really was happy to also share that with Isabella.
For me, if this past year had a word, it would probably be strength and courage. I feel like I had to have a lot of strength and a lot of courage for probably everything that I did, whether it was building new friendships, whether it was moving, whether it was leaving relationships, whether it was trying new things, leaving careers that I had attached my personality to, like, you know, exploring new avenues. And also just, I think it takes a lot of strength and courage to have your own back and like to have self-confidence and to know your worth. And I feel like I learned a lot of that this year, and it took a lot of strength.
If this past year had a word, it would be exuberance.
I have so many goals. My goals for this upcoming year, I have a lot of goals. Just in my career, I think just doing things that I feel fearful of, that I'm nervous about doing, but I really, really want to do. So kind of pursuing those and exploring them. Working on my health, I think, is a really, really big one. I feel like now that I kind of have my, you know, stride with my interests and passions, I feel like I can really focus on my health and my body. Also, it's my goal every year to just become a better version of myself, and I feel like by doing that, I can be a better friend, I can be a better daughter, I can be a better partner, and I can be happier internally. So that's a goal for me every year. And to continue to just be open and curious and excited and kind and loving.
So my goals for 2024 are to keep feeling as fabulous as I do when I'm teaching. It's been really inspiring. And I think a lot of that has to do with how I've been feeling about rehabilitating my injuries. I think that between the right vitamin and sleep and training and working out, I feel like my body is starting to feel more safe again in order to be able to dance more. And I want to dance. And a personal triumph I had in 2023 was getting back out on the stage again after 7 years. That was a big deal. And I was scared to set that date. Like, I had reserved the theater and then I didn't tell anybody because I was scared that if I did, then I would have to do the show.
I'm grateful for so many things in my life. I feel like probably everything that I have, my family, my friends, relationships, my home, especially my home in LA. I just moved into a home where I feel like it's the first time that I like feel at home. I live with my best friend. I'm so relaxed. I'm also really thankful to have a passion. I feel like, at least with myself, when I don't have that sense of purpose and passion, I feel really lost. And so when I do have it, regardless of if it's going to stay or not, or if it's forever or whatever, I'm really, really thankful because I know how fleeting it is. And I also know how much it fulfills me. And I'm also thankful for myself.
The thing that comes to mind is the dinner that I had last night with my family. And I loved it. I loved being with my husband and my daughter and my mother-in-law. And we had so much fun. And it was just so simple. And so I think that I'm just the most grateful for being and having such wonderful people in my life that I love and being able to be simple.
Am I in a relationship? Romantically, we're not going to say a thing. Maybe, maybe not. But I have a relationship with everything around me, and the biggest relationship I have is with myself. And I think that's something that I'm starting to prioritize, like, genuinely as a relationship. Like, rather than, you know, having emotions and just pushing them off, I'm like, okay, I'm treating it like it's someone else. Like, okay, you're having emotions. Let's take this aside and let's unpack this and let's communicate, you know, like, you have to treat yourself almost like you are a partner or a separate being, because it's so easy to avoid yourself. And I think that's something that we all do constantly, including myself, whether it's with like drugs or going out constantly or hanging out with friends too much or even diving too deep into spirituality and faith. Like, you know, it's finding that balance of how can I have a good and a healthy relationship with myself in every way.
I'm in many relationships. I mean, I have a relationship with myself. I have a relationship with my dance, my art. I have a relationship with my students, and I have a relationship with my family. So when I think of relationship, I think of exchange, and I think of community, and I think of evolution. And so that's what relationship means to me, because it means growth, you know. So there's this constant feeling of growth. But my romantic relationship is my marriage. So I'm married. I got married.
Why do you think that relationship works for you?
My relationship works for me in terms of the communication that I have with my husband, because we love to talk to each other, and he's my best friend, and we process, and we're not afraid to tell each other anything, and we can be vulnerable together. And that's why it works for me, because that's what I used to like wish for. So when I would talk about things that I really wanted to manifest in my life, the one thing that I really, really wanted in my life, if I was going to have a partner, was intimacy, real intimacy. And that meant fearless communication to me.
I read a lot of good books this year. The book that I'd probably talk about is All About Love by Bell Hooks. Really great book. It dives into love from like every different angle, whether it's like, you know, how we were raised, how the media portrays it, and how that like influences our relationship to love and what we think it is. And one thing, I think about love a lot because I'm always like, what is it? It's the one mystery that we all crave to understand. Like, what is love? Why is it there? Why is it there for me with this specific person, whether it's friendship, relationship, home, like whatever it is. So I think that book is so fascinating.
The book that I really, really enjoyed is the Bill Evans book, Teaching What You Want to Learn. What I enjoyed about this book was that it was written by a dance teacher that is very mature, has had decades of experience, and in a process of exploration through it all, and in such grace, and feeling so grateful to be able to be a dance teacher throughout his life. And this really was humbling because it was a reminder of how lucky I am to do what I do, and I feel really lucky. And also I think that it's really important to always be growing and evolving and learning. And so this book was a wonderful exploration for me as a dance teacher. And so it was really inspiring.
My style has very much changed this year. I feel like I kind of went through a weird style transformation because I used to live in New York. And when I lived in New York, I loved expressing myself like in every way, like from the clothes I was wearing to the shoes to the jewelry to everything. Whereas now I prefer wearing more elegant stuff, and I feel like that kind of, it's a good indicator. It's like how I feel on the inside. Like I definitely feel like I like more elegant stuff, and then I like to spice it up with like unique jewelry because like, come on, gotta be unique.
Clothing? No, this year my style has not really changed. I mean, I'm really lucky because I have a young, hot daughter that like keeps me in style. And so if I'm not wearing something cute and she sees it, she's like, yeah, no. And she'll throw it away.
So, I haven't heard much, all right? Gonna be honest here, right? I don't know what's going around town, and I don't care to know. But what I would say is, just in my generation, we all have social media. And I think it's really, really easy to build a preconceived notion based off someone's social media. So I think ultimately probably people would perceive me in the way that I come off in my social media, which is more like, I don't post a lot of necessarily personal stuff. I post stuff about my business. I post like, you know, modeling photos or stuff like that. So I think people would associate maybe me with more of a seriousness or maybe energy that is maybe less goofy and less down to earth. And, you know, I post like a lot of events and like the things that I'm doing. So I think people would be like, oh, she probably goes out and, you know, gets fucked up all the time, blah, blah, blah. But that's not true. I would say that I mostly just focus on my peace and my spirituality and my friends and my family and my partners and things like that. And just, I really, really, really would just say that I'm like a community girl. Like, I very much value my community. I very much value the people in my life.
I think something that people think about me that's not true is that I'm a technician when it comes to my dance teaching, and that's not true. That's definitely an important part of all discipline, but for me, I think it's really important to move through that and get to so many other elements that really make and evolve and develop a great artist. And personally, I think a misconception about me is that maybe I'm really serious, but I'm so much fun. Rosie.
I am like addicted to sushi. It's like all I want to eat. I eat it every day if I can. I love it. It's almost like I have like a deficiency where I'm like, sushi, because it's like I crave it. Like I'm dying for it all the time. Someone's like, sushi, I'm like, yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, babe. Yeah, so manifesting more of that.
My favorite restaurant this year was a total discovery out of the blue. Cute little restaurant in Berkeley. Rosie!
You're taking the attention.
It is like a California, Middle Eastern fusion cuisine, and it was incredible. Lulu's Bakery in Berkeley. Amazing.
I have no idea. And I don't mean to say that in the way where it's like I don't have goals. But I think when I was younger, I used to make these big goals. And then something I realized was that sometimes I don't know what's best for me. And when I make these goals that are associated with a thought or like an idea of who I want to be, sometimes they don't align. And I feel like when you have that goal and it's imprisoned and you're like, wow, 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 that you kind of end up limiting yourself. And so I have little goals. Like I have goals that I want to do every month or goals that I feel like will help my career or help me personally. But I'm open to exploring those goals and seeing where they take me. And I'm also open to changing my goals. So I always say I don't know because I really don't know. Like life is life and things happen and it fluctuates. And all I know is the present and what my goals are for the present, which would be, you know, going to specific mics, producing more shows, spending more time with friends and family, doing more spiritual work, things like that.
So in a year from now, I see myself getting closer to almost finishing my MFA, hopefully teaching more in university environments. I hope also to be involved as a board member at Shaw Anderson Dance Center and bringing my culture and art form into environments like that kind of dance center and also university structures that don't have representation of Middle Eastern dance and culture. So that's kind of my whole point in getting my MFA, because I'm trying to wiggle in to these spaces that don't really have a lot of representation for my art form or people.
It's been really beautiful watching my mom's growth. I think as a child and as a daughter, it's really beautiful to see your parent constantly explore themselves regardless of their age. I mean, the fact that my mom has started new ventures and has passions and is exploring herself in ways that I think most people wouldn't, like her going back to school. You know, that's something she always wanted to do, but I think we associate school with being young or like, you know, getting that done early. Also, seeing her fall in love. This is the first time ever that I've seen her so vulnerable with someone. And I think that is so beautiful to watch as a kid because it shows me what true love is supposed to look like, and it shows me what the reality of what that really is. I don't think that I've ever seen that before, especially with your own parent. And so just watching her growth, she's grown so much spiritually and just career-wise and passion-wise and emotionally.
I've seen a lot of growth in Isabella this year, and particularly in her desire to explore her curiosity in comedy. And it has been really good for me to see, because now I can see how much hustle Isabella has when she really wants something. And I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. And I think Isabella's always been really curious about comedy, and so to see her get out there and go to open mics and just explore a world that she knows absolutely nothing about and really has never been around. And you know, it's one thing to be funny at dinner parties, and it's another thing to be a comedian. And I've been really impressed at the tenacity and just the overall drive that she has in exploring this world. And you know what, if you are gonna be fearless in your 20s. Yeah, right? Just go for it. I mean, you know what, that's not true. Be fearless at any age, because I mean, that's what I'm trying to mirror for her myself. But I'm glad that she's trying to be fearless. And personally, what I see in Isabella is that she's really trying to tackle some of her, I would say, I don't want to call them demons, or I don't want to call them necessarily issues, but I think that when you're so young and you understand some of your behavior and where it comes from and why it comes from, you can, I think you're just so far ahead of the game, because you can understand how to create boundaries and how to create healthy space and healthy relationships for your future that like took me, I don't know, a long time to figure out. See you next year.
See you next year. I like have a new nose. I'm like, so not much has changed. My lips are like, I'm like,
all right, let's do this.